Good morning, guys. Toolman Tim here. Welcome back to the workshop where we build business, create community, find freedom, and share success. It's Monday morning, which means it's time for another money-making minute. And this week, I want to talk about a tire plug kit, how to use it, what to get, and is it worth it, and do they work? Alright guys, if you're new here and you want to know more about who I am, run by toolmantim.co. That's toolmantim.co. You'll find my social media presence, the monthly newsletter sign up, the weekly podcast, and of course the shop where I showcase over 100 different Amazon products that I've used in my business that have made me money or saved me money. So if you're looking for a solution to a problem, run by there and check it out. All right, and of course, one of those products actually happens to be one of these tire plug kits, something that I use on a regular basis. The fact that I've only got one plug left in this kit should show you that either I chew them for bubble gum or I actually use them, and in this case, I use them. So I had to plug my daughter's tire the other day, and I thought before I did it, I'd get her to record so I could show you the process if you've never done one before. And I thought quickly we'd run over what comes in a tire plug kit and what the hell these things even are. I hadn't even heard of one up until maybe 5-6 years ago, maybe 7. Anyway, I had to make a trip across the country and I thought, I know what I need, a tire plug kit. So I bought one, threw it in the bottom of the storage cubby in the van, never thought any more of it, never learned how to use it, didn't have a way to inflate a tire. Pretty much dumb. Bought one of them and never thought anything more. So then a couple of years later, I thought, man, I really got to learn how to use this thing. So I had an extra spare off an old truck that I traded away and kept the spare by mistake. So I decided to learn on that, and it's a good thing I did, because if anybody had been around, they'd have heard me cuss and swear up a blue streak. These things are difficult to use when you first get started, but once you get the hang of it, they're actually not that bad. So take your time, practice somewhere on an old tire that doesn't matter with no stress, instead of laying on the side of the road on the interstate with cars zooming by trying to figure out how to make this work. So what comes in a tire plug kit? Well, the inexpensive Victor one is one I've recommended for a long time now, and I've got a more expensive all metal bodied tool coming soon, and when I get that in, I'll do a review on that to show you. So what comes in the kit? Really just a couple of things. The rasp, that's this guy right here, he's pointy. You'll see in the video, but he's for going in and out of the plug area that you're going to need to put the plug in. So once you pull the old, whatever it happens to be, screw nail out of there, then you ream this back and forth to make it big enough. This is the plug holder and inserter tool, whatever. And these are the tools. They stick like bubble gum on a hot summer's afternoon. They're hard to get out of there, but they're tough as nails. You pull one out, you thread it through that right there. You almost need to thin it down a little bit. Sometimes I use my teeth. Don't do that because you'll break one. Get it in there. Push the plug. You get it halfway through so it's out on both sides. Push the plug 3/4 of the way in and boom, yank it back out. When you do that, if you got it seated right, you've got an airtight seal that's good for 100,000 miles. Well, they don't say it is, but it can be for sure. So like I said, first time you do it, you might get discouraged. It's frustrating, it's hard, it's difficult, but it's a skill worth learning. It is harder than it looks, but once you do it a few times, you'll absolutely get used to it. The front tires are easier than the back, because if you can get parked in a spot with the piece, say it's a nail for instance, if you can get parked with that nail on the top part of the tire and have your tire angled like you're turning, so that you have access to it without the wheel well, that's beautiful. You'll see the one that I plugged on the car, on my daughter's little car. There was that much room on the back, so I had to do it on an angle. A lot harder to get pressure. So if you can push down, do it. If it's the back one and you're in a real hard way, you can always jack it up, take the tire off, do it, and then put it back on. But if you're in a hurry and want to get it done, you can absolutely plug them with air in them sitting on the car. When you push the plug in, make sure it goes in about 3/4 of the way or a little bit less. I used to just kind of push it in a bit and say, oh, that should be good. Pull it back out and you hear that psst noise. So make sure you get it in 3/4 of the way, give it a quick yank, you should be all set. And a couple other items to keep in your tire repair kit that don't come with a lot of them. Give yourself maybe a cheap throwaway pair of pliers, vice grips, something. You're going to need something to pull that, whatever the sharp object happens to be, out of the tire. So keep a pair of vice grips or pliers in there. That works good. then maybe a sharp, really sharp utility knife blade wrapped up in tape, because when you're done, you get the plug in there, you're going to have those two little rabbit ears sticking out. And the last thing you want is them beating, pounding on the pavement and maybe loosening up the plug. So I always trim it back just above the rubber on the tire. So use that. And then, of course, something to inflate your tire. I love my DeWalt inflation station. You might find some 12-volt battery cigarette lighter ones that you can plug in that are pretty good as well, but I'll put a link to the inflator in there. And that's really just about it, guys. So I figured, why not cut to some footage of me absolutely struggling, show you guys the process from start to finish. I cut out my curse words so, you know, we could keep this a G-rated family program. And yeah, we'll show you how it works, and then we'll come back and finish up.
So you see that? Right, can you get right down? There is your screw right there. So what we did was I got her to roll ahead because these tires are tight. If it's the front tire, you can end up turning it on an angle and getting it out so you can work on it. The back tires are a pain in the nuts. So what you need to do is get it right where you can work on it. So now we are. Next thing I'm going to do is grab a hold of it with the pliers and see if we can pull it out. First thing I'm going to do before that is I'm going to prep the plug. So you want to get it, it's really tight squeeze, and pull it halfway through that theory. There we go. So we got that. So now, the next thing we need is the rasp. We're going to push that in the hole a few times to open up the hole a little bit bigger, which is kind of funny, but that's what you have to do. Now this is where it can be a real pain. Oh, that's okay. This is why we set the emergency brake. There we go. So what you want to do is work your way back and forth, wiggle it in and out. If it don't fit, wiggle it a bit. Okay. So now, shit. Couldn't quite get it yet, so we'll make the hole a little bit bigger. Sometimes it's easier to have air in the tire too. Lift. Let's grab the air compressor. We'll pump it up. That'll give us a little. Sometimes you have to do that. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you do. Of course, the tire's in a bad spot. We'll try our again. Stop there for now. So there we are. That is what it looks like, Livy. And we'll trim it off. Hi, Maui. And then there you go. That should be it. And then some soap around it. Make sure there's no bubbles. And Bob's your uncle.
All right, so what'd you think of that? It's not as bad as you think, but it's definitely a skill worth learning. So if you got any questions, throw them in the comments below. I'd love to answer them. Always look forward to talking to you guys. Always look forward to spending time in the workshop with you. So as always, guys, stay happy, stay healthy, and have a great week.